Hi there, my name is Nicholas Jackson, and I am with Team Raggamuffin, and we're going to be showing off our most current build, which is number 84 out of 84, utilizing changeless 999549. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up real quick.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to be going over our main menu. So within our main menu, we have our start game, we have our level select, how to play, options, credits, and then our quit game. So before I start kind of going over everything here, it was one of my tasks during the sprint to update um, some of the smoothness between transitioning between these different menu items. So I'm going to go ahead and go over that real quick. So for RG314, as a player, I want the main menu to transfer between each selectable option smoothly, so that is visually appealing when I go back and forth between options. So the main menu will have animated transitions between every selectable option and will fade in and out when switching between a selectable option and back to the main menu, except for the start game. That also kind of goes for the quit game because that's going to quit you out to your desktop. Completion criteria: have an animation fading from the main menu to the next selectable option when their button is pressed/clicked. Have the button back, or have the back button fade back to the main menu. So I'm going to showcase that working real quick. So this took me about 2 hours to get everything working for all the animations, for each button click and setting everything up. So let's start with level select here. If I go into it, you see it fades. It's gonna fade when I hit the back. Out of play, it's gonna fade in, fade out. Options, fade in, fade out. And then our credits is also gonna fade in and fade out. So that kind of showcases all of that stuff working. The next thing I'm gonna kind of just quickly go over is going to be for our options menu here. So I'll cover that first. That'll also let me turn down some of the music here, make things not quite so loud, so you could probably hear me a little better. So before we open that up, I'm just going to go over this real quick. So as the player, I want the options menu to have more adjustable audio options so that the player can more finely tune their audio settings to their liking. So the options menu will now provide sliders for master, music, sound effects, and voice options to allow the player more options for fine-tuning their audio settings. So completion criteria: I'm adding a master volume slider. I'm adding numbers to show the volume level for the master slider, for the master volume slider visually. Add a voice volume slider. Add numbers to show the volume level for the voice volume slider visually, and then add a voice sound effect for when the voice slider is released, so the player can hear the new audio level. So we're gonna go into the options, kind of show that. So this overall took me about an hour and 10 minutes. A lot of that is because I had some of the functionality for the music and sound effects volume already included. We already had the sliders, the numbers, and then I even had like the sound effect, but for when I released. So some of that functionality was there, which helped. So for our new ones, we got our master. So like you'll hear this music's gonna go down. There's also a sound effect when I release the master. I just thought it was weird adding it only for the voice and sound effect, and I didn't have it for this one. So that way, if you had music turned off, you could still hear what some sound levels are gonna be at. So you can hear it getting louder, it gets quieter. So you can hear that music's a lot quieter now versus when it's up here where the music level is at. Also, if I turn this music level down, so I set this to like 50. So when I come here, it's at its normal 50%, and now it's, even quieter and even quieter. So same thing, if I click here, you can hear these sound effects on the slider. So this is giving the player an indication kind of how loud some sound effects are going to be.
Now why'd you
Then
do
we have
that
our
to the ham?
voice. So this is the
Hey, you.
new one I added as
Boss
well.
fight.
So you can hear there's the
Not the turkey.
when I
Aw,
release, and when I grab it stops what it's the queuing, so that way you don't have a bunch of sound effects overlapping.
hey, you.
Not the turkey.
Boss fight.
So we can set that down, and then if I turn this down,
Now why'd you do
you can hear this being quieter. Like this is overall quieter. Um, so yeah, so that shows everything in here working as planned. Kind of nice little way to adjust your and fine tune your audio for your own liking. So our next thing I'm going to just go over real quick is going to be like our how to play screen. So for the how to play, I figured it was nice to add this just so the player could take a look at the controls. So you know, you have escape here for our pause. We have our range attack, so this is left shift. Our beast mode here, it's got, you know, it's X, it's yellow down here, so this is what your, you know, the player's main little HUD for tracking their health and everything's going to look like in game. So we have this little X here. Then we have our these buttons here for our actual like skills and abilities. So that, you know, we have our shield, which is our Q, fire tornado, which is our E, and then our dash ability, which is the space bar. We have our melee attack and shield block on the mouse. We also have our interact button, which is F. And so that way we have, you know, the player can come here, take a look at what they want, you know, what the controls are before they start playing. Our credits kind of goes over, you know, stuff that's been worked on, you know, giving some shout outs to and credit to like some of the other stuff we brought in, like sound effects and stuff. Some of them were created in house by us, some of them from outside sources. Next one I'm going to show off real quick is going to be our level select. So we have all 4 levels to select from. Right now, this is a little bit closer to more of for dev use, so that we can quickly jump to each level for showcasing stuff. So it's also there, you know, if the player could take this and just jump and like practice a level, or hey, I don't need like the intro level, I just want to jump to like level 2, you could do that, or I just want to go check out the boss fight and try that. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on level 1 here. We're gonna get it, it's gonna load up. This is Dotson's level, this is level 1. Go back, so showing that all this is functioning and working. Let's go to level 2 real quick. So here's Steven's level, and then we have our level 3, which is Lucas Guevara's level. And then we have our final level, which is our boss fight level, which was made by Joseph Black. All right. So that is the level select. Next one I'm going to show real quick. So our start game. So once you click this, it has this right here. So this is your how to play screen. So this is going to pop up only when you click that start game. So even if you didn't click on the how to play, we're showing you before you ever get into the game, hey, here's your controls. Take a, you know, familiarize yourself with it. And then when you're ready, you can hit that interact button, which is F, which you in the bottom left corner. So when I press that, it's gonna show, plays a little sound. So it's like, all right, let's do this. And you see it opened up level 1 right into Dawson's level here. So that's kind of showcases everything we had going on with the main menu. So from here, I'm going to let Dawson kind of take over and showcasing you, showcasing his level. So I'm going to hit quick, go back to my desktop, and Dawson can take over for here.
Hi, my name is Dawson Majors with Team Raggamuffin. Today I will be doing my final review video for game balancing. Today I will be using Raggamuffin underscore capstone.exe 84 out of 84 or change list number 999549. Let's hop right into it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go to level select here. Level 1. And the first thing I will be demonstrating for you is the menu system. So if you notice, right up in the top left-hand corner, it says hit escape from menu. I hit escape, and menu pops up. If I continue, it'll just continue the game. And then if now we'll go to restart. Before we test restart, I'll go a little bit further here and see if it restarts us. Restart happens right there. And so the restart button works. Let's test how to play. How to play teaches us how to all of our abilities and everything else, all the buttons and how to use them. So let's go to options now. And as you notice, the options are all audio. So if we move them down, they'll get lower, and they do. Specifically the master one right there. And if we go to music, the ambient background music will get lower, and it gets higher if you put it back up. Now the SFX will get lower if you go lower, go higher if you go up. Now for the voice.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Not the turkey. Now why'd you do that to the ham? So as you can see,
boss fight.
the voice goes down and then up whenever you go slide it down and slide it up. And then if you hit done, it should go all the way back. And that concludes the options. So now we'll test the quit game. So are you sure you want to quit? Let's hit no. It should take us back to the menu, and it does. Now if we hit yes, it will just end the game. Alright. Now the yes button works on the quit button. Now if we go back to level select and go to level 1, that we're back in my level. So now that I've shown that the whole menu system works, I'll move over to my Jira task. So my Jira task is RG319. It says, as the player, I want to experience a refined introduction level. And then the description goes as, the introduction level refinement will refine aspects of the level, such as level pacing, the level layout, level room layouts, and refuge area layouts. The refinement will also cover PFI, such as improved mechanic notes and spawning PFI. Finally, the refinements will also cover player interactions, such as incentivizing the player to use all their learned attacks and skills. The introduction level refinement will help the player experience a more complete and refined level. The completion criteria for it is, as the level, I want a refined layout for the player to traverse through. As the level, I want refined level pacing. And as the level, I want refined room layouts. As the level, I want refined ability/mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics in the level. As the level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. As the level, I want refined refuge area experience. As the level, I want refined PFI for when enemies spawn. So now let's get right into it. So my first piece of completion criteria, or first several pieces of completion criteria specifically for the start room, is as the level, I want refined pacing. As the level, I want refined room layout and refined room layouts. For this room layout, I've increased its size and added static meshes to it to make it feel more full for that refined room layout completion criteria. For the level pacing completion criteria, the player can't get through these doors until they read this note. So as they read this note, the door opens for the player. So now we'll go in here, and I'll go with completion criteria in this room as soon as all these zombies are dead. Okay. So my completion criteria for this room is, as the level, I want refined layout for the player to traverse through. As the level, I want refined level pacing, and as the level, I want refined room layouts. So specifically for this first block or this first room, the refined room layout is the completion criteria, the first piece of completion criteria I want to go over. For this one, I just kind of populated it with static meshes, destructibles, and collectibles. So such as this key and these destructible currencies. For my second piece of completion criteria is the level pacing. The player can't completely get to the next area until they unlock all 3 of these doors right there. And finally, the last piece of completion criteria for this room, which is as the level, I want a refined layout for the player to traverse through. How I refine the layout of this, or of my whole level specifically, is basically just by adding these 2 wings on the side, which is the left and the right wing. That is the only thing I really did for my level in adding on to the layout or refining it a little bit more. These 2 wings help teach the player mechanics. So this left wing helps the player learn how to use the dash, and this right wing helps the player learn how to use the beast mode potion and the blue potion. So if we go right here, and well, first off, that completes my completion criteria for as the level, I want a refined layout for the player to traverse through. So now if we go through here, collect all the gold, like this. As you can see, the door closes behind you right here. You can't get through. So player would obviously try and hit these walls right here, and they can't. So their obvious thing to do would be to read this note and figure out how to use this beast mode potion. Which brings me back to my piece of completion criteria, or my completion criteria of as the level, I want refined level pacing. The level pacing is a bit more refined in kind of giving these players the notes to teach them, and putting more gates and valves in each room for the player to complete a specific task before they can move on to the next one. So like right here, in this door right here won't open until you read this note, just like in the first room. Which brings me to my next piece of completion criteria, which is as the level, I want refined ability / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics of the level. My first note here, which is the Aegis Shield Potion note, is the first piece, or the first note I refined when doing that. So what I specifically refined for this was the name, and the description of the note itself. So it changed from the blue potion to Aegis Shield Potion, and the spacing on the top got more spaced out so the player can read it better, and the description got changed so it's better describes how to use the ability. Now if we walk in here, that brings me to my next piece of completion criteria, which is as the level, I want refined PFI for when enemies spawn. As whenever I walked into the room and the zombies spawned, you heard a splat. Whenever enemies in my level spawn, it now makes a splat sound for when they spawn, so the player knows that they spawned. So, and then that happens every time enemies spawn. So that completes my piece of completion criteria for as level, I want refined PFI for when enemies spawn. So if we hit continue here, it will put us back into the game. Kill all this, and as soon as they're all dead, it will open for the player, which comes back around to the piece of completion criteria of as the level, I want refined pacing. More gates and valves in the level for the player to complete specific tasks, for that door to open, and to make sure that they can get through the level in a timely manner and at a good pace. just like right here, door closes. And it brings me to my next piece of completion criteria, which is, again, as the level, I want refined ability / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics in the level. This next note right here is what I have used. Oh, the second note I refined. So what I specifically did to this was edited the spacing up at the top and changed the description for the player to better understand how to use this ability. So now if we go through here, dash through these, and if we go in here, the door will close, and the player has to kill all of the zombies before they can get to the next room. Or before they can go back and traverse back. Okay. Which brings me back to the piece of completion criteria of, as a level, I want refined pacing. The more gates and valves in the level, like I've said before, cause the pacing to be a little bit more kind of step by step. You do this, this happens, and so on. So wait for the dash here. Okay. And now that we have collected the 2 keys, we can now go and unlock those 2 doors and get to the next area. Which brings me back to the completion criteria and for the final time of, as the level, I want refined ability / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics in the level. This last note right here is the last piece of, or the last note I refined, which is the tornado note. Specifically what I refined on it was I changed the spacing and I changed the description to better help the player understand how to use the tornado ability, which is the E key, and to make sure that they're facing their target. And that completes, and I have met the completion criteria for, as the level, I want refined abilities / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics in the level. I have met that completion criteria with those 3 notes I just showed, and off to the next one. So as you heard there again, splat for the enemies to hear, for the player to hear enemies spawning. Okay. So we go here to my next piece of completion criteria is, as a level, I want refined refuge area experience. So for the refined refuge area experience, I specifically increase the room size, populated with more destructibles, gold, collectibles, potions, and health, and static meshes to make the room feel a little bit more alive, even if it's just a block mesh. So, the gold here, like the health to make sure we're at full HP. Go down through here. We go S. I will go over the completion criteria for this room as soon as I'm done killing all the enemies here. Okay. So now I've completed this room. It's time to go over the completion criteria. So for this room specifically, the completion criteria that applies to it is the as the level, I want refined room layouts. As the level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. And as the level, I want refined level pacing. For the refined level pacing, the player can't leave until they get the key or they find the key. So they have to search for it through all these gold piles and through these destructibles. And for the next piece of completion criteria for this room is, As the level, I want refined room layouts. So for this piece of completion criteria, this room used to just have something straight and directly in the middle. Instead, I have now kind of populated it and made it to where enemies spawn and doors open as soon as you walk in, and populated with more gold, more destructibles, and more collectibles. And finally, the final piece of completion criteria for this room is, as a level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. The way I do this piece of completion criteria is by putting more enemies in the level, so I'm forcing them to a tougher and tighter combat situation for them to kind of hone their abilities and use all the skills and everything they've been taught. So like the tornado, the dash, the potion, and the tornado, which like I said again. I go here, get this key, and then we can go to the next area, which is dodging traps. Okay. Dodge through those traps. Okay. For my next piece of completion criteria is, as the level, I want refined refuge area experience. This is my second refuge area. I basically did the same thing as the last one. I've included more gold, collectibles, health, potions, and destructibles into it, so it feels a little bit more refined for the player to traverse through, and a little bit more rewarding as well, because they're now collecting a lot more gold. Now, for this next room, as soon as I clear it, I'll go over my completion criteria for it as well. Oopsie, didn't mean to die there. Here. Okay. Here. So, for this room, the completion criteria that apply to this room is, as the level, I want refined level pacing. As the level, I want refined room layouts. And as the level, I want to incentivize the player to use all avatar attacks and skills. So just like before, as for level pacing, the player can't get through the to the next refuge area unless they collect both keys, which are in both side rooms. For the other piece of completion criteria, which is, as the level, I want refined room layouts. How I refined this room a little bit more was I populated it with more static meshes, gold, and destructibles for the player to kind of help incentivize the collection and destruction of all the destructibles and collectibles. And I added a few static meshes to make it feel a little bit more full instead of empty. The final piece of completion criteria for this room is, as the level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. Like before, how I do that is I just add more enemies to the room to force them kind of to kite them out more into a harder combat situation. So they'll use their potions, their tornado, and their dash ability more to kind of kill the zombies that are in our level. So, go right here. We go right here. my piece of completion criteria for this is, as the level, I want a refined refugee experience. How I did this was I slightly increased the room size a little bit more. And like the other ones, I've added more destructibles, more gold, potions, and health for the player to kind of make it feel a little bit more rewarding than before. So that completes, or I complete and meet the completion criteria of, as the level, I want a refined refugee experience. So whenever I clear this next room up here, I will go over the completion criteria for it as well. Okay. So the pieces of completion criteria that apply to this room is, as the level, I want refined room layouts. As the level, I want refined level pacing. And as the level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. Before, as you saw before, there's a gate that popped up right here as soon as these enemies spawned. And you had to kill all of them before you could reach, before this gate closes. That is the completion criteria for, as the level, I want refined level pacing. And I completely meet all of the completion criteria for, as the level, I want refined level pacing. Now, the next piece of completion criteria is, as a level, I want refined room layouts. So, as for this completion criteria of, as a level, I want refined room layouts, I pretty much added more walls to this, increased the size of this room, added more destructibles and gold to it to incentivize the player to kind of search for gold and destroy more destructibles. And that meets my completion criteria for the final piece of completion criteria for, as a level, I want refined room layouts. The next piece of completion criteria is, as a level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. How I do that is like with other rooms, I put more enemies in the other rooms just so the player can attack or can not attack, but to push them into that combat situation so they can use all of their skills and abilities and kind of test them a little bit more rather than throw just a small amount of enemies at them and it'd be a breeze. Now, to go back over my completion criteria here, it goes as the level, I want a refined layout for the player to traverse through. As the level, I want refined level pacing. As the level, I want refined room layouts. As the level, I want refined ability / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics of the level. As the level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. As the level, I want a refined refuge area experience. As the level, I want refined PFI for one enemy spawn. For the first piece of completion criteria, as the level for the refined layout, it is in room 1 with the left and the right wings. That is my refined portion of my layout. For the next piece of completion criteria, as the level, I want refined level pacing. It's more gates and valves for the player to complete something and then the door opens, or for the player to collect something and a door opens, or for the player to do something and the door opens. And then next is, as the level, I want refined room layouts. As I went over, it's refining room 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is increasing their sizes, adding more static meshes to them, adding more gold, collectibles, and destructibles to them. And then, as the level, I want refined ability / mechanic notes that fully explain and teach the mechanics in level. That is the 3 notes I showed in the video, specifically the tornado, Aegis potion, and the dash. and what I refine to them. And then as level, I want to incentivize the use of all player avatar attacks and skills. How I did that was just adding more enemies to the level and into each room, and having the player done, forced into that combat situation so they can use their potion, their dash, and their tornado more. And then as the level, I want a refined refuge area experience, increasing the size of the refuge area rooms, adding more gold, collectibles, destructibles, health, and potions to them. And as the level, I want refined PFI for when enemies spawn, and that's the splat sound for whenever enemies spawn in each room. Now, to finally show, if I go through this portal, it'll take me to the next level. Right here in transitions. Again, this was Dawson Majors with Team Raggamuffin. Thank you and have a nice day.
Hello, my name is Stephen Fedor, and I am with Team Raggamuffin. Today we are going to be looking over change list 999549. Let's jump into it.
Oh, yeah.
So I did level 2. That's what I worked on. Level 1 was Dawson, myself, and then Lucas, and then Joseph. So let's test out the pause menu. Continue works. Let's move up a little bit, then you can see that the restart works. Restart works. How to play, it shows everything that the player can use, and also teaches the player how to use them. Options. You can see that the volume button does work, or the volume selector. Music works. SFX, sound effects.
Oh, not cool.
Now, why'd you do that to the ham?
You can see that the
Hey.
voice works as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm gonna
Not
put
the
these
turkey.
halfway. And then I will show quick, I'll just do quick game right now. Let's test out no. Brings you back to the pause menu. And then we'll test out yes. Brings you back to the main menu. So let's get into it. Let's play my level. The design concept that I did was pretty simplistic for the player to learn and practice what they learned in the previous level, the introduction refinement. So this is just teaching that the player can attack things and destroy objects. So here's a note. This is just a basic introduction to the level. This level will help you practice what you learned from the previous level. So kind of gives them the heads up saying, hey, you're gonna be continuing. First area is just kind of like a on fire library. Just kind of make it a little bit more interesting than just notebooks and stuff laying on the ground. Hints. These type of items can be hit and destroyed by hitting them. So referring to destructible items, as well as the explosive barrels. You can interact with these as well. So you can pick it up, throw it, and it automatically lights. This is the first section. It's just introduction, not really introduction, practicing attacking different objects, attacking the barrels, and hitting the destructible wall. This is a refuge. Just kind of give the player a little bit of breathing room before the enemies. There is a valve, so the player cannot backtrack to the previous level or section. This little area is designed to kind of give the player like a little puzzle. It's not too challenging, just have to explode the barrels. And I placed a couple more extra, then I can attack or use it to attack the enemies. That was a key. That was a crown. Crown gives you bonuses at the end. So you can destroy more things. Come on. Oh. More destructive items. There's some gold under this. So this is the key door. You have to have a key. You can see that the key icon down there on the HUD did decrease from 1 to 0. So you must look for clues around the level to find the correct rune. Hint: destroy things. So if you look here, you cannot really see much except the little hints that you see. Like there's a little thing right here. That's actually a key. So the key increased. I did make this turret throughout the sprint. It does damage the player. It just kind of makes it a hazard for the player to dodge and time their movement. So you can see that there's a sideways G and a G and U. If I go up to here, this is the rune door. It says you have no runes correct, so let's go fix that. Alright, to open the door, you have to read the note. Collecting gold will help you stay alive. Treasure awaits. Have you found the secrets on the wall? Which is the notification on the end right there. Or for the doors itself. So you can see I placed the symbol just out of the reach of the player, so they have to come back a little bit to be able to see it. But it's not too far out where they won't be able to just backtrack a little bit and figure it out. So collect all this gold, just in case I die. Watch out for that guy. And just remember the sideways G. The gold. What does this note say? You must look for clues around the level to find the correct rune, which we have. The hint is destroy things, so it's just kind of a reminder saying, hey, make sure you're looking around. This is the health room. This is a refuge for the player, because then they, don't die. We have some spiders here. Honestly, it's just a small hazard or a area where the enemies do pop up. You don't have to fight them. You can always just progress through the level. I don't think I hit the rune with the right one in. I might have. We'll test it. Yeah, I forgot to change it. So we'll go over to the G, set it. Go finish killing these guys. Off to the next section. Oop. So this is the next room I call the mirror room. This is the first section of it.
Now why'd you do that to the ham?
So you'll see here in a second of what I mean. Oh, I got blown up. So it does give you the option to revive. Got the shield. I picked up mana potions for those blue items. Oh, I don't want to attack me.
Now why'd you do that to the ham?
Alright, we'll collect these gold just in case I die again. Almost died. Get some health. health. This is the pathway to the refuge. The spiders do slow you down a little bit, so that's why I place them in there. Kind of gives the player a, like, you better be careful. So that's just another gate. You have to use the explosions to progress. This is the refuge. Just kind of give the player some fun little activity to do. Collect the gold, explode items. Go through the jump pad. So you can see that there's another pillar. This one's yellow, so I'm not going to be able to change anything on this until I go figure out what the code is. Almost died again. How dare you attack me? Alright, so I picked up the keys. There's some health here. Kill these guys real quick. Alright, so here's a green one, and here's a red one. So we know the red is on the bottom right. So the red one is the 2 eyes, the green one is the UG or UA. So let's set that real quick. Gives a player a little bit of a challenge instead of just having it in one room. So it's this one. Red is the double eyes. So we'll go back here. This is another valve. They can't go back. They can't fall off. So let's find the double eyes. That is set. And let's go to the last section where there are still enemies. Cool thing is I can pick up these barrels and throw it at them if I really wanted to. Oh, almost died. And then we know this one is the double eyes, or the circles. So I placed them strategically to be able to be seen from one direction. So like this, you can see the circles. If you're up there, you're able to see that there are runes up here. Okay, so we already got that. And then here's the rune door. You can see that it's correct because it lit up and opened. And here's the end of the level. I lost my crown, but it brings me to the next level. So we'll quit the game and then we'll review the Jira task, which is right here. So my Jira task is RG312. As a player, I want to practice what I learned in the refined introduction level, then I can get to the next level without dying. I worked 2 days and 4 hours, which equates to 20 hours. The description is the intermediate level refinement will incorporate what was learned in the introduction refinement level by setting up level pacing, letting the player practice combat, using abilities, interactions, and practicing how to solve puzzles to get through the level. Completion criteria, level has to have enemies placed in the levels, mummies, mages, and spiders, which you did see. Level has to have destructible items, which they do. There's the barrels, the crates, as well as the vases. Must have key doors, which you did see as well. With the yellow doors, those are open with the keys, so we definitely need to have keys. rune pillars, which are the pillars that are moving to be able to select the rune door, which we both had in there. Hazards, varying in difficulty. You saw that it was implied. The first little area had, a couple exploding barrels, a couple spin traps, and a couple spike traps. The next area had the turret, more spinning traps, as well as little obstacles you have to go around. And then the third area got progressively harder with more spinning traps, more explosive barrels, and also the spike traps that came up a little bit faster. So that definitely is there. Level has an end portal. I was able to get to the next level. Players should be able to navigate through the level to reach the end portal without too much trouble. I did provide and show you that. If the player dies and doesn't have enough coins to revive, they lose. So I'm going to show you that right now. So we'll go to level 2. I won't collect any. I'll try not to collect any gold. See if I can blow myself up right here. So I won't have enough damage yet. But I can go to the next area. Get killed by these. And I died. I have 0 gold. Well, 10.
Leave and come back when you have more gold.
So I'm not able to continue. So that's the lost condition. The next one is level must have healing items placed around the level and in the refuges, which you saw. I had that healing room, a couple healing items in the mirror room, as well as the last level. There was 4 in there. Mana potions are the blue things. Very beginning of the level, we have those, as well as spread out through the level. Has plenty of gold coins. It does have jump pads, which I did create. I also created the key doors, so implementing on that. At least 2 refuges. I did demonstrate that. Must have valves. You saw multiple valves in there with the gate, as well as not being able to backtrack from those jump pads. And then at least 1 gate. We had plenty of those. Introduction of the level has a gate. You have to destroy the door, as well as the exploding barrel. So there's plenty of those in there. But that does complete everything inside the completion criteria for my task. So RG13 is...
Hello, my name is Lucas Guevara with Team Raggamuffin, and I'm going to be showcasing what I did during this sprint and what made it into the final build. So here inside of Perforce, we can see inside of our capstone folder, we have the capstone EXE, 84 out of 84, or the revision number is going to be 999549. Opening that gets us to our main menu inside of our build.
Oh, yeah.
Once inside of here, I'm going to go ahead and enter the level select for level 3, or the mastery level. And quickly showcase the pause menu here. So here we have, if I hit pause, or escape rather, it'll pause the game. It will actually stop all movement there. As you can see, my character's man animation. I hit escape and it continues. Hitting restart should put me back to the beginning, just to kind of show that a little bit more in depth. Break some of this stuff and make myself in that corner. Restart, and we're back at the beginning. Here, clicking how to play will give us all of the controls on how to do stuff. Aegis, shield, fire, tornado, dash ability being our abilities, movement, and interact button, all that, etc. Exiting out, going into the options, this allows us to adjust the master volume, which will adjust all volume in the level. That includes gold pickups, enemy attack, the player attack rather, the player attack sound of her attacking, like her little vocalization, the crates breaking, picking up of that gold, and let me see if I can't get a potion to drop somewhere. Eating of the food, no potion. All right. Hitting restart here and going back to the options menu, turning back up and turning down the music. You can hear it goes completely out of well, there's completely out, but it goes down in volume as you go down on the slider. SFX does the same, but only for the attacks and the attack sounds. The player will still be much louder, and picking up gold, opening that door, and eating this turkey down here, all quieter. Turning up the SFX again and reversing that to just the player voice you can hear that that swipe of the sword is much louder than the player's attack sound. Breaking of the crates, picking up and dropping of the gold, and eating of the turkey. So turning our voice all the way back up and that master down because this made it so I have to re-record. I was way too quiet. And restart. So now, restart again. Pause, Alt-Tab, and bring up my task. So here, what I worked on during this sprint was, as a player, I want a level to show mastery of what I learned in the previous refined levels so I can prepare for the boss fight. First completion criteria will be the start room is larger than before. Before we get into that, though, I'm going to go ahead and say I did spend 2 days, 1 hour and 45 minutes on this task, or around 17 hours and 45 minutes on this task. I predicted about 3 days. Going back into our game to show start room being larger than before, I'll put up an image on screen from the previous build video of the room. It was about to where my character is, I believe, but this room was in fact smaller. Hitting pause again to get to our tasks or our completion criteria. We have the practice room is larger than before and has more enemies and more distance between the fire altars, sorry. And then after that, we have the level has rest areas. So, continuing, breaking open these crates to get some goodies and the key. Allow us to leave into the practice area. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and pause it here. All this area here along where my mouse is added. This floor here was just void space, and this set of bookshelves here was a wall going all the way down into here, branching off down into here, and I believe the room ended to about here. So this area up where this enemy is, this fire altar, this area here where all these enemies, or these two enemies and all this gold is, along with this fire altar, has been added to make the room bigger. And I believe I added just more room off to the left. I made it wider in general as well, so that way I'm able to add all this environmental like junk and all that kind of stuff. Hitting continue here, walking up this way, again pausing. This area has remained unchanged. This fire altar has not moved. And continuing now to actually play through. We have the crown and using these traps to kill the enemies there, so we don't have to fight them. Go ahead and take care of that guy as well. And make our way over to start lighting all these pillars. Prepare for not too great of fighting here. I am not the best at this kind of games. Well, get bounced around there. Gonna have to go back to my start room to grab that health there. Open that up. Oh. Or I'll die. It's also a good way to get health. I don't have to go back. Make our way up through here. Break open this barrel. Grab some more health just so we can keep respawning, because that will not be my first death, I guarantee. Break through all of that, or kill through all that rather, same thing, to light the last pillar. Make our way up to the last guy of room 1, and as we enter here, we enter into the first rest area. So after the first main room, we have our rest area where we just have crates and stuff to break open and some health. A little bit of potions and whatnot. I'll just actually, let me bring up do need to bring up this for that. So here, level has rest areas between each main area, and this is the rest area 1 that we were just in. Coming back into room 2, I'm going to make my way down this way to show the increase in size in here. So I believe my old room came to about here where this first coffin is, and then there was another wall leading down about here where the mouse is going along the spike traps here. And then the second room over here is also much smaller. Let me go ahead and continue to show one of the 2 new rune pillars I added, and then the second rune pillar that I added you can see down there on the right. making our way over here and going to solve this. I do actually know the combination of this. I will just set that so I don't have to run back down that way. That is the purple rune, which belongs here behind that crate. So here you can see the purple, or the pinkish color, is sideways A. I'll perish again. Okay. Get myself back into the fight. Oh, give me another one of these potions. I actually need to be using that. Oh, the beast mode potion too. There we go. Here we have a green rune pillar. So let's go ahead and find the green rune. Have a little bit of a green light coming from behind this box there. So the green is a and a U. We already know that the yellow is 2 O's with some triangles underneath it. So this blue right here should be AE, just beside it. Oh, there's the yellow, and it's already set to double O's. No, my crown. I got it. I have it in death. Alright, there we go. And then the double O is already set, so we can just leave that. Come up here, reveal the red rune, which is 2 lines with a line on top of it. Okay. And then make our way back up to the green rune, or the green rune pillar, to implement that. Open this up and set that to the A sideways U. Boom. Now that should allow us to go down to the rune pillar. So as you can see, there is the 1, 2, 3 on my right, 4 above me, and 5 rune pillars, along with the 1, 2, or yeah, let me see, 1, 2, and 3 runes. And then 4 and 5 up there. So that will complete. Room 2 has 5 rune pillars. Room 2 is bigger to fit more enemies and additional runes. So that was over here when I was demonstrating that my previous level. I'll probably bring up an image of this as well. Stopped at about this coffin here, had a small hallway, a tiny bit of a dip down into this area, but I believe a majority of this here up to this is added, or just this small area. I blocked off a little bit to add that other pillar. Come through here, opening that, and that will allow us to leave with the rune pillar. So that's going to be, the level has rune pillars and a rune door placed in the level here at the bottom. And as you saw as we were walking through, the level has more hazards than the previous level, making the player practice dodging and timing. As we were going through, there's quite a bit of traps all the way throughout this entire level. All these spike traps here kind of hidden inside of the floor, so you can barely see them and have to react more to sound. Actually, give me it, please. Thank you. Level will have locked doors, so that was the rune or the fire altar door at the beginning, and then the rune altar door we had just unlocked and opened to solve. The level has more items to interact, and will go more in depth for the player. So that is just all of the crates and whatnot to go through, and the barrels here to use to fight against the enemies. Now making our way to the end level to demonstrate the end portal and stuff working. Making our way down into the final area, we can show a little bit of combat here at the end. There wasn't much refinement or change from here into the from the last level. Didn't have the time to actually modify the layout or the enemy placement on how I wanted to here. After clearing out all 3 waves, we are able to get through these valve doors here. I'm just gonna go ahead and die again though. Okay, now those guys are taken care of. Take these guys out down here. And this guy needs to be the last one. Just go ahead and die again to my traps. And as we load back in, the valve door collapses, allowing us to enter the red portal, getting our crown bonus and going into Joseph's level.
Hello, my name is Joseph Black, and I'm going to go over the work that I was able to complete in this milestone, and I'm going to do so in build 84 of the Raggamuffin capstone application. I'm going to showcase my level first. It is the boss fight level. So to my boss fight level, you start up there. There's really nothing down here. Absolutely nothing down here aside from geometry. But if I make my way back here, we have a boss fight. So the player's trapped in the boss fight arena. It's a good time to show the menu. I do have options here, and they do work. So that's functioning on the level. I can change the volume, etc. Let's actually go ahead and keep that down. And as well as restart. All that's working. So after a fast forward boss fight here, now that that is out of the way, you see that I can hit my portal here, and we come to our in-game screen, and that is the transition from menu to menu for this level. Hello, my name is Joseph Flack again, and I'm going to be showing now what I worked on during this milestone as it relates to the boss. So the boss itself, I was having a bug. I was tasked with dealing in a bug that created a flinging effect for the AI and the boss. So whenever you would attack them or you would block their attacks, there was something that was causing them just to get thrown violently out of the level. So I changed some collision around to get that fixed. And that is where I ended up with that. Yeah, getting those bugs out of there. So now the player can attack the boss. And the boss isn't getting thrown around anywhere. It happened a lot during animation transitions. But now also if I spam the block while the enemy is trying to attack me, it doesn't fling them either. That was another criteria where we saw that. And I'm just going to jump to one other level to show that it works with other AI as well. All right, now in level 2, here we have a couple of different enemies that we can interact with. You see here, attacking them, spamming my block. We're not throwing anyone around. So that was a success for these enemies as well.
Hi there, this is Nicholas Jackson again from Team Raggamuffin. I was just going to showcase real quick my RG316 So as the player, I want the pause menu to have more adjustable audio options so that the player can more finely tune their audio settings to their liking without having to return to the main menu. So the pause menu will now have sliders for master, music, sound effects, and voice options. Allow the player more options for fine-tuning their audio settings. This is going to be very similar to what I have set up in the main menu. So we have the completion criteria, or add a master volume slider, add numbers to show the volume level for the master volume slider visually, add a voice volume slider, add numbers to show the volume level for the voice volume slider visually. Excuse me. Add voice sound effects for when the voice slider is released so the player can hear the new audio level. So this roughly, since I already had it set up on the main menu, it was real easy to set up for the pause menu. So it only took me about 30 minutes to get all this set up. So I am in our second level real quick. Let's see, moving around. So, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up our pause menu real quick. So we're going to be going over the options. So right now I have master at 10. These are all at 50. So we have this master slider. It's just like our other one. So I start turning this up. You'll hear that music's getting louder. It's going to play a little crunch sound effect. And if I turn this down like all the way, you don't hear that music anymore. You don't hear the crunch sound effect because there's no audio, right? So let's go ahead and set this here to like 50-ish, 52 works. So we have our voice volume slider.
Oh, not cool.
So
Not the turkey.
just like before.
Oh yeah.
So it's not gonna do anything at 0.
Not the turkey. Now why'd you do that?
Boss fight.
Oh,
So you can kind of hear it. I'm sliding it around. It's making the noise, it's playing a sound effect.
Oh yeah.
It's adjusting the volume. So all that is working. So that's everything for my pause menu here. All right. So I skipped forward a little bit to show my next Jira task. I cleared out some more of the level here for Steven's level. Just so I could show these room pillars and room door real quick. So I'm going to start with the room pillar. So I had task RG317. As the player, I want to be able to better see the rune selection slot so that I can actually see which rune I currently have selected. So the rune pillars will be updated to go into an interactive mode for the player where they can choose which way they want to rotate the pillar and then choose to set the pillar. The pillars will become inactive once the door has been opened. So our completion criteria here is the player's camera needs to rotate down and zoom in when the player interacts with the pillar. A widget needs to display giving the player the option of which way they want to rotate the pillar. The player needs to be able to exit the widget at any time by pressing the interact button to set the rune. The pillars will no longer be interactive if the door has been opened. Alright, so we're going to show that here real quick. I'm going to press our F key to go in to set this so I can rotate. So you can see this camera zoomed in, widget has popped up. So right now I literally actually can't move. I'm in an interactive mode, so I can only interact with this. I can rotate to the right, and rotate to the left, then press F and it'll set it and take me out. So I can rotate, press F, and out. So that's showcasing all of that. I will show the last completion criteria and bring this back up here in just a moment. Just because I need to show the actual door stuff before I open it. So we're gonna jump in to give me 1 second so I can change task over. All right. So for this one, we are going to do RG318. So as the player, I want to be able to see which runes I have correct. So when I attempt to open the door, it will help me realize which rune pillars need adjusting. So the rune door will start out blank, and when the player has a correct rune and attempts to open the door, it will display that rune in black. Then when all runes are correct, it will display them in their colors before opening. So the completion criteria here is the runes need to be hidden when the door has not been interacted with. The runes need to only show up in black if they are correct, but not all of them are correct. The runes need to change to their corresponding color after the player interacts with them, and they are all correct. And then once all runes are correct and showing their corresponding colors, the door will open. So I'm going to showcase that real quick here. So as you can see, our door is blank. I'm going to press F to open. I don't have any runes correct, so it's not going to showcase anything. So I'm going to run back here real quick. We're going to set this first one. All right, so this, first one is set, and I know that's what it needs to be because of the rune that was on the wall in that left room. So let's go ahead. We're gonna check this door. All right, so you see that's showing up black now. So that's showing that rune on there, but in black, because that one is correct. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna set this second one real quick. So I have 2 correct. So now we're gonna showcase this one being correct. This one needs to be on that one, I believe. Double check because that one was in here. Yep, that is the correct rune. All right. So when I come up here to interact with this, you're going to notice these runes, that middle one's going to show up and these runes are going to change colors. So they're going to change to the corresponding. So that top one should be red, this left one will be yellow, and then the middle one will be green. And after they're all, you'll see they'll be all the same color, and then the door is going to drop. So they're all colored, our door drops, we can pass. So now just to go back and show that final completion criteria of our RG317. So for here, our last completion criteria is the pillars will no longer be interactive if the door has been opened. So now that door is open, as you see, I can't interact with it. I don't have the widget popping up to interact. I'm matching the F interact button right now. So I can't interact with it. Go double check all the pillars, make sure I can't interact with any of them. Nope. And we're gonna go check this last one real quick. That way, showcasing none of these are interactable once the door is open. They are set and done. So that's kind of everything I worked on there. So for the pillars itself, I tracked, I worked about a day and a half. So, that was what, 12 hours worth of work, getting these pillars, like all the widget stuff set up, everything lined up and working properly, getting their functionality. And then for the door itself, that took me about a day. I ran it, probably wouldn't have taken me that long, but I did run some slight coding issues with color showing up wrong at first. It took me a little bit longer to get it all working, but everything is good now. And then that is all I really have to showcase for what I worked on this month and during this sprint. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on off to Izzy and let her showcase what she did for us.
Hi, my name's Isabel Wilson. I'm a part of Team Raggamuffin, and this is my video submission for the final build sprint review. So, I worked on 2 separate user stories this time, so let me go ahead and get into it. Okay, I'm in level 2, and I've skipped to the part that would best showcase the things that I worked on. So I have the first user story, which is RG321, which says, as an updated jump pad, I want to stop the player from moving, attacking, or dashing while in air. I want to update the jump pad character animation to make it look more realistic, and I want to increase the size of the overlap volume for more ease of access. So my completion criteria is as follows. RG322, my subtask is disable movement while using the jump pad. RG323, which is disable attack while using the jump pad. RG324, which is disable dash while using the jump pad. RG325, which is update the jump pad character animation mid-jump. And then just my last completion criteria, which is increase the overlap volume for interact. So let me start going through them one by one. So the first one is the RG322 disable movement while using the jump pad. So I did it so that it, for the most of the jump, it disables movement, but at the very last part, it kind of unlocks the character so they can prepare for landing, essentially. So let's do that. So you can see at the very end there, I was able to turn around. You can hear me kind of clocking on my keyboard, trying to prove that I'm trying to move around. As you can see, the movement is disabled. So the next one is RG323, which is disable attack while using the jump pad. Again, the same as the last one. I have it that it's disabled while in air for most of it, and then at the very end, if there's an enemy over there, you can attack at the very last second. So let's go ahead and prove that. If you can hear my mouse clicking, hopefully that'll be an indicator of me trying to attack. So you can see that at the very end. One more time. Okay. The next one is disable dash while using the jump pad. So again, you can kind of use the dash at the very end there, just because whenever I went to disable any and all movement, there is just the ability to leave a small allowance at the very end for a quick getaway or an attack or a quick movement, a preparation or something. So let me show you. You can see there. You can kind of go at the very end, well, once it warms back up. Let's go this way so we don't. And then once it warms back up, we'll show you that you can't do it while in air. So if you could hear me kind of pressing the dash button a bunch of times. Oops. Okay, so that shows the disabled dash. The next one is RG325, which is update the jump pad character animation mid-jump. As if I was just running. As you can see, this was the animation before. And now, as you can see, it's updated to make it look like it's actually jumping. The guy even kind of puts his sword and shield behind him, which is kind of cool. Okay, so and the last completion criteria is increase the overlap volume for interact. Like I said in like the build test, it was previously the fact that you had to be like directly in the center here in order to interact with the jump pad, but now you can kind of just get somewhat close to it and then it'll shove you over to the center and make you jump. So I mean, like I can be over here and then facing the wrong direction, it'll shove me to the center and face me in the correct direction, which kind of allows for if you're trying to make a quick getaway, you don't have to be extremely precise. Okay, so that is it for the user story RG321. I'm going to transition over to a position where I can show RG328 well. Okay, so I made it over to an area where I can showcase my next user story, which is RG328, which says, as an updated spider enemy spawner, I want to only begin spawning when a player is within range of a specific overlap volume, and I want to wake up the spawner within another certain range. So my completion criteria is for these RG329, which is the spider spawner is dormant when player is not within range, and then RG330, which is the spawner is triggered when player is within range. So to kind of explain those a little bit further, I have made 2 different overlap triggers for the spawners themselves. So there's I call them like a wake sphere and then an activate sphere. So one, and they're both things you can edit to be utilized in game. So the level designers can put the spheres wherever they think would be best. But basically, when you walk into the wake sphere, it just kind of causes it to open, and then the activate sphere would actually cause the enemies to spawn. So let me go ahead and go through my completion criteria. So RG329, the spider spawner is dormant when the player is not within range, and as you can see, I am not in range right now of this, but when you walk kind of towards it, it opens and makes a little sound effect. And then as you can see, whenever I walked over towards the spawner a little bit closer, it then activated the spawner to start spawning enemies. So let me get through this really quick and I'll show it again on the next one. Okay, so I'm going to show the completion criteria one more time so you can see the collision spheres being utilized. When I walk towards it, it starts to open a little bit here. And then if I walk closer, that's when the enemies actually started spawning. So okay, and then as you can see, after 30 seconds of spawning enemies, it despawned itself. So that's all I have for this sprint. These user stories took a little bit longer to update than I had previously expected, so that's all I was able to do this time around, especially with the smaller or the shorter deadline. So one thing I forgot to mention whenever I was doing my playthrough of my tasks, I forgot to mention how long each task took me. So let me do a breakdown of that really quick. So for RG321, in total it took me about 7 hours of log time to complete. So, and I can break that down into my subtasks really quickly. So in RG322, it took me 2 hours to complete. RG323 took me 1 hour to complete. RG324 took me 30 minutes. RG325 took me 3 hours. And then I believe the task itself took me yeah, 30 minutes. Okay, so that was I know that there was one that I went over my time on, but that was not that one. So in total, that was about 7 hours, not about, exactly 7 hours. And then 328 took me in total 9 hours, or 1 day and 1 hour. And then the 2 completion criteria, the 2 subtasks that I had, 329 took me 2 hours to complete, and 330 took me 2 hours to complete, so 4 hours, and then the other 5 hours were dedicated to the task itself in means of just refining the blueprint and fixing bugs that I at first didn't understand, but now fully understand why they were there. Again, my name is Isabel Wilson. I'm with Team Raggamuffin, and thanks so much for watching.
Hey everybody, my name is Daniel Fink. I am a programmer for the Team Raggamuffin. This is our milestone review of our final build during this milestone. We did have a basis of a mummy type zombie, so I just refined it and labeled it. As the enemy zombie, I want to feel, act, attack, and animate more like the zombie I know I can be. As the zombie, I want to exist in the level. I want to have a static mesh. I want to have an idle animation. I want to have a traversing animation. I want to have an attack animation. I want to have a death animation. As a zombie, I want to have health. As a zombie, when I take damage, my health decreases. I will chase player when I see the player. I'll return to spawn location if I lose track of the player. Gold drops and random values when the zombie dies. And when the zombie is in the player's presence, there's a sound effects. Boy, that was a mouthful. My mouth is dry. Uno momento. Jesus. I've slowly learned to be verbose about our completion criteria. So, let's hop on over and test this out. Here's our Poor Force, Team Raggamuffin, Raggamuffin Capstone Windows Editor, EXE. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
We're just going to test this in the initial level. Okay, let's go ahead and open that door there. Let's see. Alright, there's the zombie. Okay, so let's go ahead and break off here. It exists in the level. It has stack mesh. As you can tell, it did have an idle animation. It did traverse, so it had a traversing animation. It did have a death animation. It had health. It took damage. It chased the player. We're going to go see if it returned back to its spawn. It's not staying at the door again. That turned there. We're going to check to see if there's gold when it dies. But there was a sound effects when the zombie seen me. So let's go ahead and there is gold where they died. He did return. And there is an attacking animation. He's declared doing damage to me. And he drops gold. There you go. Sweet. Alright. That's actually, and he returned back to his initial spot when I left and came back. So that's actually everything on that completion criteria. Nice. Let's go check the menu. All the menu stuff works. Good job to our UI specialist. Love it. Okay. So, let's do a quick recap and hop back over. Okay. Again, exists in the level, stack mesh, idle animation, traversing animation. Attack animation, death animation, had health, health decreased, chased the player, returned back to spawn. The zombie did drop gold when he died. There was a sound effects when once I was spotted to notify the player, excuse me, that he was there. All right, let's go to the next story. Okay. I just wanted to add on top of what I had the zombie, okay? Easter egg potion. Alter the zombie's appearance by giving them a giant head, so big head mode, okay? As the Easter egg potion, I want to exist in the level. I want to have a static mesh. I want to be picked up as any other potion. I only want to be picked up by the player. I want to have a sound effect once picked up, a visual effects for player. Easter egg potion cannot be destroyed like the other potions. I want to transform the zombie's head to be enormous. And it will not affect any gameplay other than a visual one. Okay. Let's hop back over. And you know what I'm going to do, just for argument's sake, because I like the clarification. Go back in, Team Raggamuffin, Windows Editor, and then, boom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's go check out the big head mode. We're going to go back to the starting position again. Oh, you're right. Let's go and open this door again. Okay. Okay, so the big head potion is that red potion that's right there. It has static mesh. It exists in the level. It has a VFX, so it has a visual effect to notify what it is. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and kill these two. Ooh, I don't want to kill him though. Okay, so I want to see if the zombie can pick it up. The zombie can't pick it up. Okay, he has a normal head. And then, boom, I picked up, he has a big head. And the damage is still the same. And then he dies. He returns back. Okay, so I have to restart this because I have to make sure I can't destroy it. Okay, so let's go to the side. I can't destroy it. Pick it up. It does as it's intended. Makes them obviously giant heads. Sweet. Okay. And it did not affect the gameplay other than a visual one. So let's go ahead and quit and mark down the line here again. So let's pop on over. Okay. It existed in the level. It had a static mesh. It was picked up like any other potion. It could only be used with the player character. We tried to have the zombie pick it up. It did not work. It had a sound effects once it was picked up. It had the visual effects for the player. It could not be destroyed. It transformed the heads of the zombies to be enormous. And it did not create any other effect other than a visual one. That is it. That is done, okay? That is the last of my stories. I'm going to pass it on to the next person. And if I happen to be the last person, thank you for watching all of our content. And if you had made it this far, rock on, y'all. And we'll see you in the next one.